Hello and welcome to another exciting recounting of our continuing journey of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. We're on to session 11 now, and if you've been following me since the very start of this journey, I can only say thank you. It truly is a joy putting these recaps together each week. They started more than anything as a means of me just keeping my notes in check, but they seem to have kind of spiraled out of control into these 20 plus minute long mini rants at D&D itself, with the occasional musical composition on the side. So thank you for what this is, and in this latest session, we, the party of intrepid, non-Disney copyright infringing heroes, found ourselves in the clandestine city of Skullport, deep in the third level of the Undermountain. Murder is afoot. One of the party is on the trail of his brother. Someone is rumoured to be killing mages, but for at least two of the people in the party, all they really care about is when they're going to score. So this session was a bit of a change of pace, to be honest with you. Until now, this whole campaign has just been this breakneck case of just room after room after room, combat after combat after combat, trap after trap after trap. I've said before, it was pretty exhausting at times, but this session tonally was the complete opposite to that. There was a lot of problem solving, a lot of following leads, a lot of talking to people, all in the name of tracking down this mysterious mage killer. So let's start with the beginning, shall we? So we ended last session having done this big shopping trip in Skullport, and we were taking a long rest. We were resting the night in a brothel. It was a drow brothel, and they happened to have a spare room, so we stayed there. And during the night, Gorn, my character, decided to... he wasn't quite done with the shopping. He wanted to buy something a little bit nice for the object of his affection, Bolene. And so he snuck out in the middle of the night to go check out the shops. And it turned out that actually there were a lot more shops open during the night than during the day. That kind of makes sense. And he had, 10 to 20 gold pieces, and he thought, I'll buy something nice for Bolene. And he found something that looked a bit like a jewellery shop, went in and decided to buy something, and he picked out this like silver pendant with like a hummingbird on it. He has no idea what it is, no idea what it does. He just bought it because it looked nice, and he has since given it to Bolene. I'm assuming it is magical in some way, but we will see. But what's more interesting is that while I was in that shop, I overheard two Duergar dwarves trying to palm something off on the shop seller. They were trying to get him to buy something. And this was... obviously, I looked like a human at the time because of the circlet I was wearing, so they didn't realise that I wasn't a dwarf. And so they were talking in Dwarven amongst themselves, just like saying, oh, this is a waste of time, like we shouldn't bother trying to sell to this person, let's go to the Metallic Majesty instead. What's the Metallic Majesty? I have no idea what that is, but clearly they're trying to sell something. It was a bit too hot for the blood of this shopkeeper, and so they've gone somewhere else, and they went to like a tavern around the corner. So the session started, I decided to follow them and just kind of keep tabs on them and find out what's going on. I came up to them at the table, and of course in the previous session when we went shopping, I'd actually bought like a small keg of beer, so I just kind of put that onto the counter and be like, hey, I'm new to the town, I'm trying to make some friends, here's a keg of beer, I heard you trying to sell something just now, I might be interested, what you got? And they didn't kill me, so I guess that's a positive. They tried talking, they used Thieves' Cant. I don't know Thieves' Cant, and what's quite funny is the way that the DM plays Thieves' Cant. He does actually say nonsense, and it's like it's quite funny. He'll say something like and how's your grandfather, or something like this, and you're like so I like that. I really do like that he does actually like role play that out. He doesn't just go, he's talking Thieves' Cant to you. So yeah, it's more realistic. So anyway, I didn't get anywhere with that, but I decided to go back to the rest of the party. I didn't want to kind of hog too much of the session, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go back and wait for the others. In the meantime, Kronos decided that he was also going to spend a bit of money, about the same amount that I did, but he was going to spend it on prostitutes, because we were in a brothel. So he rolled for that. Not that sort of roll. He rolled just to see what sort of women were available, I guess. And we found that it was a perfectly adequate evening that he had, you know? No nasty surprises. Yeah. So that was fun. He had that evening and wasted some gold on that. But we've still got like 2,000 gold plus, because as I said last session, it is impossible to spend gold in D&D. So yeah, that was fun. Anyway, so we got back to the tavern, and shortly afterwards, the DM said, I want you to roll initiative. We were like, whoa, what's going on? And it turned out that what was going on was that there was a massive explosion out in the town, and there was this house just down the way that in the last session we had seen like a wizard running inside the house and locking the door, and he was trying to run away from like an eyeball that was following him, some strange ghostly eyeball. We decided not to bother with that, because ultimately we're just tourists here, we're just passing through. Everyone's got their own problems, right? So we didn't bother with that at the time, but that was the exact house that blew up during the middle of the night. And so of course we all kind of rushed out. We're like, what's going on? People are running around like crazy. I actually roleplayed it that when the explosion happened, I'd been in the bathroom at the time, and I was like trying to like, Bolene, I've found something which I think might be nice for you. It's a little bird on silver. No, I mean, it would have been gold. I couldn't find any gold, but it's a bird, because you know you like animals, and you're a bird, kinda, and it's like that, right? And he's just like he's trying to psych himself up in the mirror, and then this explosion happens, and he has a bit of a mental panic, because I rolled 1 on my initiative roll, and the DM was like, just for fun, let's say this is the exact same sound that the cave-in made during your backstory. And I was like, well then I'm hiding underneath the sink and gibbering to myself. So that was what happened there. But anyway, once we finally got ourselves together, we went outside, and we found that indeed this house had been completely blown up. And we are strongly suspecting from the conversations the previous week. I actually got my notes a little bit wrong last time. So there were two things going on at the same time, which I somehow conflated in my notes. So I'm glad that this happened, because I was able to sort it out. We are strongly suspecting that this was the doings of McGuff, the wizard killer, who is on the prowl recently, killing wizards. Thank goodness we don't have any wizards in the party, huh? We went, let's try and figure out what's happening here. Let's go talk to some of the other wizards that we know in this town and see what's happening. So we immediately thought about our friend, the shopkeeper that sold us stuff last session, that was kind of in the house that didn't belong to his. Velrax. There was that moment, I think, that often happens in D&D, where we as a party were kind of looking at each other like, yeah, there's clearly a mystery here that the DM is dangling in front of us. There's clearly like a problem that needs to be solved. But at the same time, why should we care about this? It happens in a lot of D&D where you're like, no one's asking for our help here. No one's like offering us a reward or something. Like, we are strangers to this town. We are like newcomers. If it's safe, and everyone seems to be saying it's safe, and very quickly after the explosion, the panic dies down when no one realizes that they're dying, and then everyone just goes back to their business, and we're like, well, it seems that no one really cares. Presumably in this city there's some sort of law enforcement or legal authority. You know, there's a giant fortress there. I mean, let's just kind of leave this to the locals. It's none of our business, right? But no, because then you wouldn't have a session. So we you lampshade it and you mention it very loudly to the table. Not sure why we care about this. And then you go and care about it, right? That's how you play D&D. So, so we went to see Felrax, and we were quite interested that when we went to see him, he was acting a bit strange. He was just kind of gathering all of his things together and like putting them into his bags, and he's like, I'll take this and I'll take this and I'll take this, and he'll put them into his bag. He didn't have any time for us. He opened the door for us and he was like, sorry, no time to talk, and he's like clearly about to scarper. But then I rolled an insight check, and my insight check was a natural 20, and with that roll the DM told me, this ain't Felrax, this is somebody else pretending to be him. And who it was a giant Loxodon elephant man. And that was quite interesting. And basically as soon as we saw through this disguise and realised that it wasn't Felrax, he teleported out of there, which was quite interesting. So we then went upstairs and we found the real Felrax dead on the floor, and luckily Bolene has the ability to speak with the dead. She does it as with all of her spells. She does it through the power of song. She starts singing some Disney aria, and the dead body comes to life during his part in the chorus. Oh, tell me how, and did you die? I'll tell you how I died. It's like that, It's fun. It turned out that he had been murdered by a tiefling named Zanzibar with a Russian accent. Not actually Russian, of course. We then, asked, we had 5 questions, so we asked a bunch of things. And it finished with a very interesting question. Is there anything that you regret not doing in life? And the answer was that he never got to find the school. So apparently that means something. I shared with the party what I'd discovered with the Duergar the previous night, and Kronos, because he's actually a native of Skullport, he was able to roll a history check, and he knew that the metallic majesty that I'd heard about was some undermounting crime lord who went everywhere with a large metallic bull. Alright, fine. So after this, we decided to do a little bit of a deception. We were like, okay, well, obviously there's a mage killer in this town. We want to find out who this mage killer is. We want to stop them, presumably. That's what we're trying to do. So what we should do is the old Aladdin, Prince Ali kind of deception trick, and we should just pretend that this amazing new Mage has entered the town. Have you heard? This incredible mage, Kronos the Magnificent, has arrived in the town. So we had a disguise kit. So we dressed up our Goliath in some, sparkly sequin pointy hat, with the stars and the moons on it, and gave him a bushy beard, and we're like, yeah, look, it's a wizard. And I then ran into a tavern, and I was like, oh my gosh, have you heard? Kronos the Mage has come into town. It's amazing. He's the best wizard around. And then I went out, and then I took off my circlets so I looked like a dwarf again, and then I went back in and I did the exact same thing again. What's this I'm hearing about some new mage coming into town? At which point the barkeeper pulls me over and is like, what you doing? Shut up. You got some mage in town? Like, no. Shh. Like, do you want to die? And we're like, no, we're just really happy about this mage being here. And he's like, well, listen, you need to go to a place called the Poison Quill. And he pointed us in the right direction. He said, if you really do have a mage in your party, he kind of doubted it. He's like, you need to go there and they'll sort you out. So we're like, thanks, man, that's really helpful. And what I also found in that same tavern was the Duergar from the previous night, but because, of course, he now saw me as a dwarf, he was a little bit less hostile towards me than the previous night. And, he offered me a glass of my own beer that I'd previously offered them. Fair enough, And we got chatting, and he was from Clan I, that was his name, which is the procurement division of the Metallic Majesty. And I said that, you know, I'd come from the Undermountain, which is true, and I said I had some things I was trying to sell, which I guess is true as well. And he said, well, you should go to Gurnak Stonehammer at Skullport Sundries, and you should try and sell to him. So I was like, thanks, that's really helpful. So we then proceeded straight away to Gurnak Stonehammer, and we were trying to find out where this Metallic Majesty might be. And, you know, to try and sweeten the deal, we decided to sell some of our stuff to him. Quite funny, he was a one-armed man. That's not the funny part. He was a one-armed man, and we were trying to like say, hey, look, we found some magical stuff. And so I pull out the magical sword that instantly bonds itself to you. The second you touch it, you attune to it, and you cannot put it down once you've got it in your hand. And I'm like, hey, how much do you think you'd sell for this? And he like pulls it out. He's like, oh, this is a very nice blade, very well weighted. He's like, and he can't put it down. He's only got one arm, and he's like, oh, but he doesn't want to lose face, right? And so he's just pretending like, oh, I think I'll just hold on to this for a while. He doesn't want to like lose face on it. He sells it to us for 150 gold. Lovely. That's a few more trips to the brothel there for our barbarian. And he tells us as well that he says that the Duergar are digging. He's not sure what for, but that's where we would find Metallic Majesty down below in the Undermountain. Lovely stuff. Some other random stuff happened. Bolene decided that she wanted to buy a plant because she can speak with plants like innately, so she thought it'd be quite fun to buy a plant. She ended up going into a fortune teller shop. It's the only place with plants down here. Plants don't really grow well in the dark, so she found this place with plants. Turned out to be a fortune teller. She had her fortune told to her about her Prince Charming. Where would your Prince Charming? And it was a very strange fortune that was told to her. Where the fortune teller was getting increasingly annoyed because the tarot were coming out saying very strange things, seemed to be saying that she was destined to marry the Mad Mage himself. And she just was like, no, get out of here. I'm not going to charge you for the reading. Get out. This is a dangerous telling that I'm giving you. And she just thrust this like bamboo, one of those like spiral bamboos, just thrust it into Volene's hands and was like, get out of here. So off she went. And finally, we decided to go to the Poison Quill, and really we should have just gone there straight away. We were on the trail of wizards. There was a wizard in the Poison Quill. Turned out that the lady that worked there was friends with Hallister the Mad Mage, and she was one of the few people down here with permission to teleport around. Interesting, the Loxodon had also previously teleported. So we asked a little bit more about this. We found out that the Mage Killer was indeed this Loxodon guy, and was indeed the same person as this tiefling with the Russian accent. He apparently has lots of different disguises that he pulls on himself. His name is Olibash, that's his name. He's a very high level wizard, and the reason that we found that out is because we were looking for spell scrolls in this shop, and she only had spell scrolls up to level 5. She said if you want something up to level 9, you're going to need to go to Olibash. He has all the spells. Great. So that was really interesting. We learned a lot there, and also because this place did like forgeries, we're like, okay, well, this is great. If we ever need to escape from the Undermountain, this lady here for 50 gold pieces a piece can take us back to the surface very easily. It's a one-way trip, but we can get back there via this lady. Lovely. And apparently she is safe, or she considers herself to be safe from this Mage Killer. She's not worried about herself. Wonderful. And because she also does forgeries, the Goliath in our party, Kronos, he decided that he wanted to get a little forgery that says he is a legitimate pirate captain of a vessel. What's the name of the vessel? She said. She was writing down the forgery. He's like, Jenny. She's like, Jenny. Fine. And where is Jenny from? The block. Right, there you go. You are now captain of Jenny from the block. So there we go. Captain Kronos. So yeah, then we decided, well, we've done all we can in Skullport now. Let's head off. We went through the cave system, the Whisper, the Whisperham Gap, where there's a lot of fresh air. Apparently there's a portal to the elemental plane of air there, and all the fresh air into Skullport comes down this way. And so there were a couple of moments where suddenly there'd be like a hissing sound, and we'd previously been warned about this. We had to like hold on tight, and the air would suddenly rush past us really, really strongly, and we were like, we're holding on strongly, and then we were able to proceed. So we carried on through, we managed to get through okay, and we ended up on the other side, back in the Undermountain, in the area that was patrolled by the warlords, the warlords of Azrak, the Hobgoblins. And it turns out Hobgoblins are a bunch of bureaucrats, and they were very strict on the fact that we needed to have papers in order. We didn't have any papers. The only papers that we had was Captain Jenny from the block, and they were like, well, this is not, you need papers to pass through here. They'd seen us come from Skullport, so they were, us saying that we were with Xanthar's guild. They're like, yeah, well, that checks out, but you need your papers in order. So they decided to basically sell us some passports. Again, it was chump change, and we went to see Azrak himself. We went into Azrak's room. Azrak himself, I rolled an insight check, did pretty well on that. Pretty sure he's blind. His wife is standing beside him the whole time, just like whispering in his ear, and from the looks of things, she's like telling him what's happening. And so we kind of knelt before him, and we thanked him graciously for letting us pass through, and we just explained that we were just here in the area, and he asked us for an offering. And so I rummaged around inside the bag of holding, and I put those goblin, I found some goblin earrings a few sessions ago that let you cast minor illusion. We're never going to use them, so I was like, yeah, here you go, this is the offering. Goblin earrings, you're a hobgoblin, maybe you can make some use out of them. And he was happy with this offering, and so he said, you were welcome to stay here as long as you like. And that's basically where we ended things. So as I say, very, very different flavour of session to previous ones. The mystery itself as to who the Mage Killer is, I felt we could have extended that on a little bit longer. We basically solved it in the one session. And again, there was that lingering question, as always, of like, why do we care about this? I'm not sure we really would. But those are minor points. Otherwise, it was a really fun session. I'm glad we did it. And I'm excited to see next session, when presumably we're either going to fight a bunch of hobgoblins or find the stairs to the next floor down. Floor number 3 has been a great thumbs up from me so far. I can't wait to see what further floors down look like. But that's all from me for now. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it and comment on it and give it a thumbs up and hit the bell icon to stay up to date. I did it. I sold out. Are you proud of me? I'm going to be sponsored by HelloFresh next time you speak to me. Manscaped. Use the promo code SELLOUT in the description. Take care.